Welcome to the DIY Honda Garage channel. The DTC Diagnostic Trouble Code P0406 indicates a fault in the EGR, exhaust gas recirculation, valve position sensor circuit, specifically pointing to a high voltage issue. The EGR system is crucial for reducing nitrogen oxide emissions by recirculating a portion of the exhaust gases back into the engine's intake. The affected component, the EGR valve position sensor, is typically located near the EGR valve itself, which is bolted to the engine's intake manifold. This sensor's role is to monitor the position of the EGR valve, providing real-time feedback to the engine control module, ECM, or powertrain control module, PCM. A problem in this circuit can result in higher than expected voltage readings. Before starting troubleshooting, it is essential to gather all freeze data and onboard snapshots to identify when the fault occurred and under what conditions. This background information aids in understanding the severity and frequency of the issue. The DTC P0406 is triggered when the EGR valve position sensor circuit reports an excessively high voltage, indicating that the sensor might be malfunctioning. The EGR valve is responsible for recirculating some exhaust gases back into the combustion chamber. This process helps lower harmful emissions. Its position sensor is a critical component located on the EGR valve and directly communicating with the ECM or PCM to inform it about the valve's position. High voltage readings can occur due to electrical issues or a faulty sensor. In this case, the diagnostics will involve checking voltage levels using a Honda Diagnostics System, HDS, and visually inspecting the components and connections for any signs of malfunction or damage. There are several potential causes for the DTC P0406 error. First and foremost, a faulty EGR valve position sensor is likely, which may give inaccurate voltage signals to the ECM or PCM. Secondly, there may be damaged wiring or poor connections affecting the EGR valve's operation, which can lead to high voltage readings mistakenly. Checking the wiring harness for any cuts, abrasions, or loose connections is essential to rule out this possibility. Lastly, outdated or corrupted ECM or PCM software can also lead to erroneous readings and should be updated if necessary or substituted with a known good unit to further diagnose the issue. The symptoms associated with DTC P0406 may manifest primarily as a check engine light illuminating on the dashboard. This signal is often the first indication to the driver that something is affecting the vehicle's emission system. Furthermore, drivers might experience poor engine performance due to the EGR valve not functioning properly, which can affect the combustion process. The vehicle may also struggle with acceleration or have rough idle conditions. Additionally, because the EGR system heavily influences emissions control, excessive exhaust gases may lead to higher emissions, potentially causing the vehicle to fail emissions tests. Recognizing these symptoms can aid in identifying underlying issues swiftly. In troubleshooting DTC P0406, the first step is verifying the problem by turning the ignition switch to the on position 2. This action powers the vehicle's electrical systems without starting the engine. Next, the technician should utilize the Honda Diagnostics System, HDS, to inspect the EGR VLS, EGR valve position signal, in the data list. If the reading is 4.88 volts or greater, the system duplicates the failure, indicating that it's essential to further investigate the next steps in the troubleshooting process. Conversely, if the reading is lower, this suggests an intermittent failure, and the system appears to be functioning at that specific time. In this case, checking for poor connections or loose terminals at both the EGR valve and the ECM or PCM is recommended before proceeding. But the second step in the troubleshooting process involves determining if the EGR valve position sensor itself is faulty. First, turn the ignition switch to the lock position 0, which powers down the system for safety during the disconnection of components. Once safe, disconnect the EGR 5P connector to isolate the sensor from other systems. Next, turn the ignition switch back to on position 2 while keeping the connector disconnected. This allows for measurement of the voltage using a multimeter across specific test points. Test point 1 should be at EGR valve 5P connector number 2, YELBU, and test point 2 should be at EGR valve 5P connector number 3, green YEL. A reading of about 5.0 V indicates that the circuit is functioning correctly. If this is confirmed, replacing the EGR valve is the next step. If not, further investigation is warranted. Step 3 of the troubleshooting process focuses on checking for an open wire in the SG2 line, which could disrupt the circuit function. Start again by turning the ignition switch to the lock position 0. Following this, the technician should jump the SCS, service check signal line, with the HDS to prepare the system for continuity testing. Next, disconnect the ECM or PCM connector B49P to eliminate interference during the test. To check continuity, use a multimeter to measure between two test points. ECM/PCM connector B49P, number 44, green, yellow, and EGR valve 5P connector number 3, green, yellow. If continuity exists, the SG2 wire is intact, and the issue may lie with the vehicle's ECM or PCM, prompting potential software updates or substitution with a known good unit. If there is no continuity, repairing the open wire between these two connectors becomes critical. After successful repairs, ensure that all connectors are reattached securely. Turn the ignition switch to the on position 2 to power the vehicle's systems once more. Next, utilizing the Honda Diagnostics System, HDS, reset the ECM or PCM to clear any previous DTCs and allow the reevaluation of the system's functionality. Following that, it is essential to carry out the ECM/PCM idle learn procedure, which helps the module recalibrate its settings, particularly around engine idle. Finally, check for any pending or confirmed DTCs using the HDS to confirm that no faults remain. If DTC P0406 is indicated again, further inspection of connections or potential issues with the ECM or PCM is needed. If it does not reappear, the troubleshooting and repairs are complete. To prevent future occurrences of DTC P0406, routine maintenance and inspection of the EGR system is recommended. Key components like the EGR valve and its position sensor should be examined for excessive wear or damage. Regularly performing software updates on the ECM or PCM can help eliminate possible software-related errors that might prompt false DTC indications. Periodically checking connections, wiring, and terminals for corrosion, wear, or looseness can also aid in preventing electrical issues that lead to faulty signals. Establishing a timeline for these inspections can assist in ensuring that the vehicle operates smoothly, while also reducing potential costly repairs in the future. In summary, DTC P0406 signifies a malfunction in the EGR valve position sensor circuit, specifically high voltage readings. It is crucial to conduct thorough diagnostics using HDS, beginning with verifying the issue via voltage measurements. Subsequent steps include checking for faulty components, damaged wiring, and ensuring optimal ECM or PCM operation through updates. By recognizing symptoms early, such as the check engine light, drivers can prevent the escalation of related issues. Performing regular maintenance, testing continuity, and inspecting connection quality can significantly reduce the chance of encountering this DTC again, ensuring not only compliance with emission standards, but also the performance integrity of the Honda Civic. Please like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.